Hi, my name is Vanessa Navarro, and I will be talking a little bit about assessing ESL writing. At first, I wasn't too sure what it meant by assessing ESL writing, but as I did some research, I was able to figure out what exactly they were looking at. And one of the things was becoming familiar with the common writing assessment techniques. And as a teacher, you should be better positioned to manage and evaluate our students' success. It is best rather than choosing one ready for you to choose a holistic evaluation, reading a paper to gain broad impression, and then it's effective in establishing the writing ability. This also will help with placement decisions and measuring students' achievement. Another thing it talked about was becoming familiarizing yourself with rubrics. And there was plenty of those online, and that's what it said too, was online you could find a lot of them, or you could make your own. And then reading for an overall impression when reading students' papers, reading all the paper, not just bits and pieces of it, like really looking at everything. And keep writing prompt in mind as you read. The styles of writing should be taken into consideration in what student is writing about, so you can look for specific components rather than just looking at the writing and marking everything. That way you know if you're doing a persuasive writing, then you can look at each component of a persuasive essay rather than all these other components that aren't making sense with what you actually asked them for. Another thing is to be aware of students' background. That's a huge thing. I thought that was probably one of the most important ones, and it's really important for me to be aware of all my students' backgrounds, so that because writing is a learned skill, we should be aware of the students that may be transferring rhetorical patterns from their first language to English. An example was from Japan, the value is placed on content, word choice, and grammar, and then if they came to America, the teachers here would focus more on cohesion and coherence. A holistic evaluation is a useful tool, and it informs teachers and allows them to understand their students. 5 ways to assess ESL writing would be the rubrics and performance criteria. Oral presentations are performances. Nonverbal assessments, such as charades or pictures. Written assessments and portfolios. I think portfolios is a good one because you can compile all of their work from whether it's for the semester or the year, and then you can build off of that and see how they began and to where they went. Another thing with some tips for individuals would be having some one-on-one time with your students, doing video and audio recordings to help the student gain confidence in themselves and in their writing. During verbal reading assessments, make sure there's effective interaction and not realizing that maybe some of those students might need a little bit more. Using prior knowledge and relevant information from students' native land and lessons. I thought that was important so that we're looking at all of that and bring it all into one component. Visual cues, that was a huge thing, and I think pictures is always great, such as this one. Having that summer picture lets them actually imagine it before they start writing it, and then they can better put together their ideas. For groups, some tips were to closely observe the student during group work, to encourage the student to participate within the discussion with their peers, and to place the students in groups that involve other students who are supportive of their needs and will be welcoming to that and help them get to where they need to, or even guide them if they need to. The other thing I was going to talk about was just that holistic evaluation. I thought that was one that everybody seemed to really discuss, and some evaluations I had found were really interesting. And there was some rubrics that I had put into the PowerPoint so that we could see what that was like. And all in all, for assessing an individual's writing with a student that has the English language barrier, it was mainly to interact with them, talk to them,